Welcome to Comments Podcast, the show where we discuss a variety of topics with your host, Nina. Scotland has seen an exponential increase in COVID-19 cases from August and September. With concern of the substantial rise of cases, the Scottish Government has decided to introduce mandatory vaccine passports for entry to certain venues. A form of the vaccine passport will be introduced for entry to specific venues and won't be applicable everywhere. The list currently incorporates nightclubs and larger events which attract over 500 people, I believe is the minimum number. Customers will be required to show proof they have been vaccinated by downloading a QR code onto their mobile phone, or they can download, I believe, a specific app which will confirm their COVID-19 vaccination jabs. However, it will not apply to children or those persons who are medically exempt. The vaccine passport rules will apply to people over the age of 18 in Scotland, and they will need to prove they have had both of the vaccines administered before they are allowed entry to, more specifically, unseated indoor live venues with 500 people attending, unseated outdoor live venues with over 400,000 people attending, and any event which has an audience of 10,000 people. So it's very specific and hopefully won't impact too many entertainment or hospitality events businesses. These proposals have been passed by the Scottish Government last week, but most MPs approved the introduction of the vaccine passport system in order to curtail the exponential rise of COVID cases in Scotland. With children returning to schools in August in Scotland and recently in England, combined with the lifting of lockdown restrictions in early August, there was inevitably going to be a rise in cases, as was originally anticipated. However, the rapid percentile increase of cases conveys or demonstrates that the situation needs to be constantly reviewed to ensure there is no need for future lockdowns being imposed. The vaccine passport system will not be introduced for entry to essential services, for example, hospitals, shops or schools. During the summer season, there were many music festivals all over the country with thousands of revellers attending. Many audience members were from the younger age group who will not have received a vaccination invitation. I think during that time, we're talking July, June, and some may have been asymptomatic. However, by the end of September of this year, many in the younger age group would have received an invitation to obtain their vaccination. So the legislation has been delayed until everybody receives that invitation to receive their jab. The vaccine passport system is to be applied only specifically to certain venues and will not really affect the vast majority of the public. And I think most of us have got used to dining out when earlier on in the year when we had to show some sort of, scan a QR code for entry or at least provide our contact details. So we're kind of used to these restrictions upon entry to a lot of places. It will also probably provide clear guidelines to nightclub owners and those of large live venues as well for the foreseeable future. They have unfortunately borne the brunt of the lockdown restrictions over the past 18 months, with many businesses in this sector struggling. At least now these businesses will be able to operate safely and feel reassured that they can keep their businesses operating in future without closure. Obviously, there are some business owners complaining about the additional costs of implementation and training of staff. However, there is a case to say there is no longer any ambiguity, and these guidelines allow the owners and event organisers to plan ahead accordingly. And also they have had 18 months to anticipate this type. Some sort of legislation may be come into force as well, so it shouldn't be like such a huge surprise. There shouldn't be a huge additional cost of equipment to businesses directly, except for checking customer phone for the vaccine QR code at entrances to the venue. And this is something most places do already when they check for tickets. Whether a similar vaccine passport scheme will be launched in other regions, Wales or Northern Ireland, is still not confirmed. In England, however, people will need to confirm they have either received a COVID vaccination or confirmation of cleared PCR, I believe, or lateral tests to access entry to venues such as nightclubs and other large attending venues from the end of this month. These are all considered higher risk areas which can sort of increase the number of COVID-19 spreaders due to the large number of people which are congregated within an enclosed venue, which may have little ventilation. There has also been an inclination of the governments taking such preemptive measures before the onset of winter, when it's anticipated COVID-19 cases will rise. During the pandemic, we are all now aware that the COVID-19 is here to stay permanently, and we will just need to live with it. This means governments will monitor rise in the number of cases, hospitalisation, and obviously introduce measures to reduce the pressure on the NHS. At present, there are no alternative options, and the public will get used to either carrying a paper certificate or scanning a QR code confirming they have had their 2 COVID jabs. Hopefully this will be the last year we will all be subjected to rather draconian measures to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 and are able to get back to our normal lives. Never say never. Thank you for tuning into today's episode. You can subscribe to the Comments podcast via iTunes, Spotify, and other major podcast providers.